My name is Bianca Mister and I'm a Senior Learning Advisor with the Academic Language and Learning Unit at UNSW Canberra. In this video, I will be breaking down the levels of plagiarism as defined in the new plagiarism procedure which became effective on the 1st of June. To access the complete document, go to this page and click on 1st of June 2020 to download the complete file. Although not an official level of plagiarism, we will first look at poor scholarship, which is a new category in the updated version of the policy. Poor scholarship is typically the result of laziness, and in most cases the student has not necessarily intended to pass off the ideas as their own. They may have even attempted to cite original sources, but have done so poorly. Therefore, poor scholarship is defined as insufficient or inadequate referencing and/or citation. The next level of plagiarism is defined as minor. Minor plagiarism occurs when parts of the text have been plagiarised, but it's not significant to the outcome, or there is minor copying or collusion taking place. At this level, inexperience is the key mitigating factor. For example, first-year students or those who have attempted 24 or less credits in their degree. An example of minor plagiarism might be where the plagiarised material appears, for example, in the introduction or conclusion of an assessment, but not in the key parts of the assessment, such as the analysis. Or perhaps the plagiarised material appears in sections of the assessment which are not necessarily assessing the learning outcomes. Both poor scholarship and minor level of plagiarism have the same 6 options for actions or outcomes that you might decide to take. The first one is that you might issue the student with a warning without any reduction in their mark. The second is remedial educative action only by means of referring the student to the OL unit. There are various options in referring students to the OL unit. The first one is to send us an email directly, or you might ask the student to get in touch with us and give us a background of their case. The third option is if you have multiple students in a class with similar issues, we could run a workshop with the whole class or a selection of students to educate them on effective referencing and academic integrity. The third option is for you to allow the student to resubmit their work without any penalty to their grade. However, you also have the option to reduce the grade with a resubmission. The fifth option is to give the student a formal warning and also reduce their mark. The final option is to only mark original content in the student's work and ignore any plagiarised parts. But keep in mind that any mark reduction for poor scholarship and minor levels of plagiarism should not be more than 10% of the total awardable mark. Regardless of the action you decide to take, both poor scholarship and minor levels of plagiarism need to be recorded on the UNSW Plagiarism Register within a week of notifying the student of the outcome. Cases at these levels are to be managed by the individual schools. The next level of plagiarism is moderate. Moderate plagiarism is a more substantial form of plagiarism by an inexperienced student. It includes parts of the work and perhaps some learning points which have been plagiarised. At this level, there is likely an unacceptably high content of copied text, none of which has been attributed correctly. The student has perhaps used poor paraphrasing with no identification of direct quotes or no in-text citations. There are 5 actions and outcomes you might take at this level, and they are quite different than those discussed for poor scholarship and minor levels of plagiarism. The first thing you might do is allow the student to resubmit their work with no penalty on their mark. Your second option is to mark the student's original content only and disregard any plagiarised parts. The third option is to allow the student to resubmit their work, mark it as you would normally, and then drop it down a grade. The fourth option is to allow the student to resubmit their work. You would give them the typical comments and feedback, however they would only receive a maximum of 50% for that assessment. The final thing you might choose to do is cap the overall mark at the end of the course at 50%. Note that any mark reduction for this level of plagiarism should not be more than 50% of the awardable mark for the particular assessment. Also, a fail mark will stand where the work does not meet the requirements. Cases of moderate plagiarism are also to be managed by individual schools, and they need to be recorded on the UNSW Plagiarism Register within a week of notifying the student of their outcome. The next level of plagiarism is defined as significant. Significant plagiarism occurs when large sections of the work, including most key learning points, are plagiarized, or perhaps there is copying or collusion where large sections of a submitted work are identical or nearly identical to work submitted by another student. An example of significant plagiarism is that a student might have based an entire assessment task on a single university study without attributing it. The student might have also attempted to pass off the research questions, the analysis, or the conclusion from the study as their own. At this level, you have two options for actions and outcomes. The first is to allow the student to resubmit their work, for which they can receive a maximum mark of 50%. The second is to fail the student for the work that they submitted, which might result in the student either passing or failing the overall course, depending on their composite grade. Just like moderate plagiarism, cases of significant plagiarism need to be recorded on the UNSW Plagiarism Register and are to be managed by the individual schools. The highest level of plagiarism in the updated policy is serious plagiarism. Serious plagiarism occurs when all or almost all of the submitted work has been plagiarized. It could be that there was copying or collusion, where most of the work submitted is identical to published work or identical to work submitted by another student. Or it might be that there was a large part of the submitted work which was the work of another person, things like contract cheating perhaps. And there might be evidence of deliberate attempts to disguise plagiarism, embedded images of text or white quotation marks in a Word document, perhaps. Although there are some possible outcomes at this level, it's important to note that individual schools are not to manage cases of serious plagiarism. All cases must be reported directly to the Conduct and Integrity Office without any investigation by the school. This level of plagiarism involves serious dishonesty on the part of the student, and possible outcomes include: the decision might be made to give the student a fail, 0% for the particular assessment task, or perhaps an overall fail grade for the course. The third potential outcome for this level is suspension from the university. The final outcome at this level is that the student might be permanently excluded from the university. Thank you for watching this video created for you by the Learning and Teaching Group in Canberra. If you have any questions about the various levels of plagiarism and how to identify them, please get in touch with the ALL unit at knowall@adfa.edu.au. Thank you.